Good morning, good morning, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the internet. Welcome back to another episode of Grow. Coach Kyle Evans coming to you. Maps Coach, Bold Coach, all the things from the beautiful, the sunny, the humid Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I trust that everyone enjoyed their long weekend, their Labor Day weekend. I hope to the very core of my being that you guys were present, that you were where your feet are. And if you weren't, no shame, no judgment. What can we do about it this week? How can we make some changes, make some adjustments to where we can get some more of that quality time with the people that matter most? Guys, last week we talked about grit versus grace and diving into all of that, including the matrix and the character archetypes we fall into on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis. Today, man, after some conversations with some people, I wanted to dive into a topic that comes up a lot more than you'd want it to. And I think the more we hide from it, the worse it gets. One of the best one liners that I've heard in the past is bad news doesn't age well. Well, this is can be considered bad news, to some people. I think it's a four-letter P word that is troublesome sometimes, and it's pain. Today, guys, I want to talk about pain. That sounds weird, I know, but just stick with me and let's figure this out. Let's go along for this ride this morning while we get our daily checkup from the neck up. I'm calling today the gift of pain. You see, guys, in life, pain more often than not is tuition. It's tuition. Everyone pays it. Most people don't enjoy paying it, but everyone pays it. Here's the truth of that, though. Understanding that we all pay the tuition, you have to know that not everyone collects the lesson or the education from the tuition of pain. Today is not about how to avoid it, how to run from suffering, how to avoid setbacks, how to not feel pain, because you can't. You can't. Today's about how do we learn from it? How do we use it? Pain isn't the opposite of success, ladies and gentlemen. Pain is the prerequisite more often than not for success. One of the things that we talk about in this new Gary Keller Onward Bowl that's been on the top of my mind lately is kintsugi. Kintsugi is making beauty out of the broken, right? In Japan, they have an art called kintsugi. Essentially, when pottery breaks, instead of trying to hide the cracks, these artists repair it with gold. They put it back together. The crack then becomes the most valuable piece of the piece. The same invitation that pain gives us. Your cracks, your scars, your setbacks, they're not flaws. It's not something that should be hidden. They're seams of gold. It's proof that you've endured. It's what makes you unique. It's what makes you valuable. So the question is, where are the cracks in your story? Where's the pain in your story? Where's the setback? Where's the trial, the tribulation? Instead of covering it up, how can we fill it with gold? What is the lesson that we should be taking away from this? Big or small? You see, because I truly believe that life isn't won in grand slam moments more often than not. Do they happen? Sure. But more often than not, life is won in the small minutia, in the little failures, the little pain that you decide to just lean into. And when I say pain, I don't necessarily mean like physical pain, like, oh, I broke my finger. I mean, I still got the wonky finger for those of you who've been along for the ride for a while. I don't necessarily mean that. I mean like mental anguish, pain in your heart, pain in your soul, the pain to do the thing that you say you're going to do, the pain of running away from comfort, running away from mediocrity, running away from contentment. When I say pain, that's what I'm talking about. Where are the breaks? Where are the chinks in your armor? Where are the cracks in your pottery that should be filled with gold and have lessons from it? Instead of covering it up, how can you highlight it? How can you show what you've learned? There's a guy named Howard Schultz. He took pain and he made it purpose. Howard Schultz, for those of you who don't know, is the man behind Starbucks, your favorite mediocre coffee. Shots fired. Howard Schultz didn't come from privilege, guys. He actually grew up in the projects of Brooklyn. He lived in a low income housing complex. His dad worked many jobs, wore a lot of hats. He was a truck driver, he was a delivery man, all the things, right? But he never had stability. One winter day, his father slipped on ice and he broke his ankle. Didn't have health insurance, definitely didn't have a safety net. And Schultz remembers the image of his dad sitting on the couch, defeated, sitting on the couch with a broken ankle, with no safety net, the weight of the world on the shoulders. The pain branded him. Schultz never forgot that. You see, years later, when Schultz built Starbucks, it wasn't just about coffee. He wanted to create what he called a third place, not home, not work, but a place where people could belong. And more than that, he built a company, get this, paying to purpose. He built a company where employees had health benefits and they were treated with dignity. Why? Why? Because he never forgot the pain of his father. His suffering became his purpose. His cracks became his gold. It was the foundation on which he built on. Pain planted his mission. Pain shaped the system. There is a gift of pain if only you are willing to accept it. If only you are willing to come out of it for a second and look at it from a 30,000-foot view. There's beauty in the pain. There is beauty in the becoming, but we have to pay attention to the lessons that we can learn from the failure, from the setback, from the hurt. A lot of people know this person because she's incredibly successful. J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter. She was a single mom. She was living on welfare, struggling with depression, and she spoke openly about contemplating suicide. Just picture this, right? Like, put yourself in this position. She was broke. She was raising her daughter, and still she was scribbling story ideas. A lot of times she would go to like a coffee shop, Starbucks, shout out, Schultz, cafes, but she would have and just nurse, like, just, slow drink a single cup of coffee because that's all that she could afford. She didn't give up, even though it was painful. Even though it didn't seem like there was a way out, she kept going. But here's the thing. She finally finished this manuscript. It was called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I spent all this time. I grinded. I made it happen. I wrote the manuscript. I finished it. Here it is. Here's my golden ticket. And then she was rejected. And then she was rejected again. And then she was rejected again. And then she was rejected again. And 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 again. 12 no's. 12. Spent all this time carrying these burdens, pushing through, embracing the pain, and was met with a bunch of slam doors. But she didn't stop. That story has gone on to sell 500 million copies, and it was rejected a dozen times. Rowling has said that rock bottom became the foundation she built her life on. Her suffering gave her a level of clarity. She had nothing to lose. That freed her to write the story she wanted to tell. Today, Harry Potter, hello, global phenomenon. It was born out of poverty. It was born out of poverty. It was born out of depression. It was born out of rejection. It was born out of pain. Setbacks are not signals to stop. They're often the seasoning that gives your story its flavor. But you got to recognize the gift when it's there. You got to recognize that the cracks can be put back together and be the gold. When I'm thinking about this, I have an idea around it I call the suffering funnel. There's 4 stages of the suffering funnel. The first, obviously, if you've been paying attention, you know it's pain. It's pain. It's raw. It's the rejection letter. It's the injury. It's the down month or the down year, losing the job. This is when it stings. Here's the truth. Most people stop here. They do. They take the pain as a signal to stop. They take the setback as a signal to stop. Stage one is the pain. Stage two is perspective. First, we've got to feel the pain. Then we've got to get perspective on it. If you keep leaning in, pain starts to highlight things you could not see before. Weaknesses are exposed, assumptions get challenged, blind spots get revealed. Pain is the highlighter marker in the textbook of your life. Storms are great for two things because they destroy the things that aren't stable, but they also reveal the things that are. So, first, we've got to deal with the pain, then we move into perspective. The third stage is purpose. Because when we have perspective, meaning can start to emerge. You can begin to see, hey, maybe this isn't happening to me. Maybe this is happening for me. Schultz had to watch his father struggle so he could build a company around culture, around dignity. J.K. Rowling saw her rock bottom as a freedom to create. We go from pain to perspective to purpose. And when we have perspective and purpose from the pain, it lets us move to the fourth stage, which is power. It's where transformation happens. The pain becomes the fuel. The suffering becomes our strength. Everybody wants the power without having to go through the pain. Everyone wants the growth without having to go through the setback, without having to go through the 80s movie training montage. The suffering becomes your strength. We have to understand that. We have to understand that more often than not, I hate to say it, but there is an order to things. The truth is, your scars are not shameful. Your cracks are not flaws, and your setbacks are not wasted should you choose. Like the Japanese art form kintsugi, the seams of gold, if you let them be, can be the most attractive piece of the pottery. Like Schultz, it can give you a mission. Like Rowling, it can give you a story. Pain doesn't disqualify you, it qualifies you. Your cracks aren't flaws. I want you to understand that suffering without meaning is torture. Suffering without meaning is torture. Suffering with meaning, however, it's transformation. It's that simple, yet it's that hard. More often than not, we complicate the simple truths of this world. Alex Hormozy said this, and he did a riff on it, and he's like, if we were to sit down with God or the creator of the universe, and we said, let's design the strongest, most resilient person possible, we would not hand them comfort. We wouldn't clear every obstacle or put them on a smooth road. We would give them resistance. We'd put weight on their back. We'd put storms to go through. We'd give them monsters to fight. Why? Because strength isn't born in ease. It's forged in opposition. If we wanted to make someone patient, we said we want to make this person the most patient person ever. We want to give them the virtue of patience. We wouldn't give them everything on demand like this society has taught us is reality. We place them in seasons of waiting, in lines that feel too long, in dreams that take years to unfold. Patience is born in delay. Guys, if we wanted to make someone kind, we wouldn't surround them with perfect people. We'd put them in a world full of difficult personalities. People who test their temper, who misunderstand them, who rub them the wrong way. Kindness doesn't come from ease. It comes from being gentle in the face of friction. It comes from being gentle in the face of friction. Ladies and gentlemen, if we wanted to make someone grateful, if we were sitting down with the creator of the universe and we wanted to give them the gift of gratitude, the last thing that we would give them is endless abundance. We know that to experience true gratitude, they'd have to taste loss. They'd have to go without. We let them stand on the other side of scarcity so that when the blessing comes, when the storm breaks and the sun starts shining, they see it for what it is. Gratitude is only born when you know what it's like to not have. Every virtue that we admire, strength, patience, kindness, gratitude, it's not handed out like a trophy. It's forged. It's made. It's the struggle. It's the setback. It's the gift of pain, the suffering that carves those qualities into us. When life feels like 1,000-pound boulder sitting on your chest, when the market crashes, when the walls are closing on, when your plans fall apart, maybe that's not life against you. Maybe it's life just building you. Maybe it's forging you. Maybe it's building your muscle for what comes next. Maybe it's giving you the purpose, the perspective for what comes next. Maybe that's God handing you the exact conditions required to grow to what you're called to be. I heard it said like this the other day. If an apple tree dies before it ever bore fruit, what is it? It's an apple tree. Ladies and gentlemen, you may not have borne the fruit yet of what you were called to be. You're still an apple tree. Act like it. Show up like it. Look today in the face. Look this week, this month, this year in the face and say, I'm here. I embrace the struggle. I am okay to suffer with meaning. The setback is simply that. It's a setback. It's not the end. It's not a stopping point. It's not a red light. What is your perspective today? We all feel pain, betrayal, heartache, being let down, losing, failure, physical pain, sickness, maladies. We all feel it. Everyone gets it. If you haven't gotten life altering pain yet, ladies and gentlemen, just wait longer. It's coming. I promise you. What will be your perspective in it, though? How will you choose to author the pain that is given to you so you can start to see the gift in it? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the internet, happy Tuesday. Let's go get it today. Let's understand that we're becoming who we're supposed to be. Let's understand that regardless of last year's harvest, that regardless of this year's harvest, we're still an apple tree. And we got a lot left to give. Coach Kyle Evans signing off on this Tuesday. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Go be an apple tree.